So
Great, thank you. So I appreciate everybody joining us today. Some of you are confirmed recruiters for our upcoming event or events, and some are, considering the options. So we put this event together with Glenn's help from Premier Virtual. AAE has been working with Premier Virtual since last April of 2020. We've conducted several events on their platform, virtual career fairs, and have had a really good experience with Premier Virtual. And the platform continues to evolve and improve, which we so appreciate. But just wanted to take this opportunity for Glenn to give you, some of you I think have done our events and some have not. So just giving Glenn an opportunity to give you the latest and greatest, allow for Q&A. If you have questions about Premier Virtual's platform, if you have questions for AAE for me about these events or really anything else related to AAE, feel free to ask those questions. You have the ability to unmute yourself or post those questions, post your comments into the chat. We'll try to keep this fairly, I think the intention here is keep it fairly informal, fairly comfortable. We shouldn't have more than a dozen people at most on this call. So, I'll just turn it over to Glenn to start out with an overview, and then we'll take it from there.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate that. Just to kind of let you guys know, my name is Glenn Brisalmo. I'm a national account manager here with Premier Virtual. So what my role in the company really becomes is that once we have a license that is sold to an organization, I become the dedicated account manager that works with the organizations to not only build the events, but to also to help to train recruiters coming in and companies coming in so that we can get booths set up and kind of give you some of the best practices and really what is going to work best on the day of the event once you have an event on the platform. What my plan is here today is just to do a quick run through, give you what the job seeker experience will be, and then kind of show you what their flow is like in a virtual world, and then kind of switch over to show you a little bit of the backside of what the dashboard will look like on a company side and how really simple it is to set your booths up and operate on the system. Like Tim said, very informal here. We got a small group. So if there's any questions, feel free just to chime in. If you need to see something again, I have no problem showing it. So just, feel free to chime in and we'll get started. I know everybody's busy, so I'll try to respect everybody's time and keep it moving here. All right. So with the tour that we're going to do here today, I'm going to start at the registration pages. Now, when the host of the event, so when Tim sets up events, what he's doing is he's creating the event itself in the platform, as well as two unique registration pages. One that's going to go out to the job seekers, and then one's going to go out to the companies, and that is going to be where the companies will start the registration process. So what you're looking at right here is a registration page that I have for a demo event that I use for training. And if we look to the left-hand side, when Tim has an event, he's going to create something to this left-hand side, which I always call is like the table of contents for an event. It's going to give some basic information, the name of the event, the title, the dates, the times, maybe who's sponsoring it, who's putting it on. But that information will be the only consistent piece that will be on both landing pages for registrations, for the job seekers and for the recruiters. Everything that you see on the right-hand side of this page is going to be customizable, whether you are a job seeker or whether you are a recruiter. So that messaging could be a little bit different. Of kind of like what I have as an example here is what to expect. The one I'm looking at here is for a job seeker. So when you get a registration page from Tim for a recruiter, you may see some messaging over here for recruiters. A lot of times we'll have our training video in here, but we keep the registration process extremely simple for both recruiters and job seekers. So once you come to this landing page as a job seeker, they will register, and there'll be two pieces of information that will be may or may not be required at the time of registration. They're going to set up their username and password, basic information like a phone number, email address, and then other than that, the only other things that we'll be looking for from them is that the host of the event gets to ask 3 specific questions of the job seeker. This is data that either you guys or Tim is looking for from the job seekers. And then the answers to these 3 questions will be available in your reporting after the event is over. So you'll have access to those answers. Now, the other piece here in the registration process is that if the event host makes the resume a mandatory requirement for registration or not a mandatory requirement. And each event will be different as to why that will either be turned on or off. Other than that, once again, keeping it extremely simple for the job seekers. We don't want to lose anybody in that registration process. Once they do that, they'll be brought right into their profile. In their profile, they can come in and customize. So they can add a professional headshot. They're going to have training videos available to them at all times. So their FAQ and training. They can view the current resume that they posted at the time of registration, or they can come into their edit profile and they can upload their latest and greatest if they've made any changes to their resume. We do only accept PDF resumes, and that is just for security reasons. So nobody goes in and changes anybody's resumes on them. So the last piece in the job seeker profile is going to be the My Events piece. This is where you're going to see everything under the My Events is going to be every event that the job seeker is registered for. So each of these squares that you see here is going to be an event card for an event that they registered for. Now, my account has a ton, so my account was not going to look like everybody else's, but this one here is the one I'm just going to go in to show you a little bit of the job seeker experience. So you'll notice here that the green Go to Lobby button is there. This will show up on the date and time that the event host specifies. So the job seekers will not be able to gain access until that date and time comes. That green lobby button shows up, and then the candidates can enter into the lobby. Now, when you come into the lobby, you're seeing these gray squares. We call these sub-events, or you can call them categories or rooms, but this is a way for the event host to take a large amount of companies and basically bring it down to easy rooms that the candidate can go into. So a lot of times you'll see these separated out by, occupation titles like logistics, manufacturing, administration, or you could see things like you see here where we've got things separated out by geography. Maybe it's the Northeast Northeast USA or the Southeast USA, but the event host will be setting these rooms up for their events. Now, some events you come to won't have any of these rooms because they're a little bit smaller as far as the amount of companies. If that was the case, this is what you would look at when you came into the lobby. So you would just see the companies. Now, here I always say, imagine yourself at an in-person event. Okay, so that candidate comes through the lobby of the hotel, they walk into the event space, they see tables set up everywhere with company logos and company signage. That's exactly what you're seeing here. They're coming into the lobby, they're seeing all these companies. If they want to learn about a company, all they need to do is to click on that organization. So if I clicked on PetSmart, what it's going to do is it's going to open up their booth. So at an in-person event, that candidate has a flow. They're going to walk up to the recruiter. They're going to say, hey, can you tell me a little bit about your organization? So right here, you're going to have a chance to add to a booth your organization bio. So this is something that is usually coming from your career page or maybe your About Us section of your website. But this is giving just a little information to the candidate about what your organization is about and what you provide. Once they have come up to the table, they normally talk to you about the company itself. The next question they're going to ask you is, tell me what type of job vacancies that you have. So right here in the job vacancies, you can see that PetSmart has loaded these 3 jobs to their booth. Now, me as a job seeker, if I think this assistant store manager position is something of interest, I can drill down a little bit, go into the job details, and I can see what this job is all about. So you'll have a chance to put in your job descriptions for the jobs that you post. Now, once again, keeping things nice and easy for your job seekers, we do have right up here a one click of a button, and I can submit my resume to the recruiter. This resume will go over in real time to the recruiter that's working that booth on the day of the event. And I'll show you that once we get into the other side of the platform. So once the candidate has really gone through the bio, they've applied to a position, they come back to the booth, and there's still some more information that they can gather. So we offer you these 3 custom links that you see here. These are going to be customizable, meaning you can give it a title, and then you can enter the corresponding link where you want your candidates to go. So you can see here that PetSmart, they put in diversity and inclusion. And if I click onto that tab, what's going to happen is it opens up the PetSmart corporate website for diversity and inclusion. So these tabs are a great area for you to showcase anything that you have, whether it be websites or YouTube videos, just to give the job seeker a little bit more information about what your organization is about. If you had something on company culture or what you do in the community, you can put that YouTube video in here as well. You'll notice that your social media will be right here on the booth as well. But the next step for a candidate really at this point would be to talk to a recruiter. So right down here in the bottom corner, you'll see the chat now. And if we open up the chat, the candidate can then send a message over to the recruiter working the booth. Now, the way that we built the platform is that there's no lines, no waiting, no queues for your job seekers. They're there for 4 hours. They've got a job defined, so we want them to keep moving freely throughout the event. So if this recruiter did not get back to me, I can leave their booth, I can go back to the lobby and go to my next company and start that process again. But the good thing is that if I open up my chat, you'll notice that I'm in the Circle K booth, but my conversation with my PetSmart recruiter and every other recruiter that I have a conversation with follows me around throughout the event. So anytime I open up my chat, I can continue my chats with any recruiter that I've had in the event. So we call this the chat that follows, and what it does is it really gives your candidates the freedom to kind of keep moving instead of having to wait for a recruiter to be available to talk to them. So recruiters, they get busy. So maybe they're talking to another candidate, and this candidate can move on freely. So I noticed I got a couple of questions in the chat. Before I move on to the next section, I just want to take a quick look. Oh, looks like these might be for you, Tim. So
they are from me. Yes, I'm just
right.
posting some additional information for folks.
Perfect. Excellent. So that is a quick overview of the job seeker side. Without any questions with what you saw here on the job seeker side before I move on to the company side.
Hi, Sharifa here from Kip, New Jersey.
Hi, Sharifa.
I just want to make sure that we can customize the booth, or does the organization do that for you so long as you provide logos, etc.?
You'll be customizing the booth. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to the other side of the platform, which will be your dashboard, and I'll show you just how simple it is to put this together.
Amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we'll be doing a Q&A at the end as well. So if there are any questions, feel free and we can just catch them at the end. So once you receive a business registration link from your host, you'll be brought to a registration page like we looked at in the beginning. Once you register your business, you'll be brought into your company dashboard. This is where you'll be operating out of, and everything that we just looked at, we're going to go through and show you basically how simple it is to set this up. So your logo would go up here in the top corner. You can just hit this little arrow, and then that'll open up your files, and you can add your logo. This is something I always recommend to do first because it often gets forgotten. This will make your booth look very unfinished. I always get asked, what can I do to make my booth get traffic? It's complete everything. And one of the things that often gets forgotten is the logo, which will make your booth look very incomplete. You will have training videos available to you at all times. So anytime that we make an enhancement, we upload the new training videos into your dashboard. And as you can see here, we've got training videos on how, our internal chatting, how to set up company profiles, how to pull your company recruiter reports. And then we also have some best practices as well as some text instructions on how to set up your profile. So your booth is really set up in 3 tabs alone. That's going to be your profile, your recruiters, and your job vacancies. I always say that half the battle is just gathering the information to put into your booth, because once you have it there, it really is just copying and pasting, and it's very, very simple to put together. So we'll start here in the profile section. This is going to be a majority of your booth setup. You'll notice that you have the edit and the edit booth up here at the top. We'll work in the edit first, and this is going to be where you're really going to be putting in that content that we just looked at. So the organization information here is auto-populated from your registration, so this you don't have to worry about. The organization overview, this is going to be that bio that we looked at on the booth. So this is going to be something from maybe your career page, maybe something from your About Us section, anything that you want to relate to your candidates about your organization. My recommendation, don't keep them too long. Your candidates are going between a lot of different companies, and just the important pieces that you need to get across to your candidates. So right below that, you're going to see the 3 custom links that we just looked at on the booth. Now these work very simply. On the left side, you're going to give it a title, and on the right side, you're going to provide the link where you want your candidates to go. So we looked at diversity and inclusion. So right here, you can see diversity and inclusion. And then this is the website that we were taken to. So it's the PetSmart corporate website for diversity and inclusion. You can also see a YouTube video in this one here. I have seen where companies have put in things that they do with the community, things they do about culture. I've seen tours of facilities like manufacturing facilities. So there's all sorts of information that you can relay to your candidates in these links. Once you've got the links done, your last piece on your profile is your social media. And the way that the social media works is that if you enter the information, you'll see here Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter has links. So those icons will show up on the booth. So LinkedIn and YouTube will not, because there's no information on the side. So once you've got your social, your custom links, and your bio, you hit your save changes, and that's going to bring you right back to your profile. And then I think this was the question that Sharifa asked earlier, where you can then go into edit booth. This will pop open an image of your booth, and you can go in and you can test all of your links, make sure everything looks right. Don't worry about this workshop portal. You won't have that on your booth. This is my test event. So, but once everything looks okay, you can come right down here to this pencil down here in the bottom corner. And this is going to allow you to pick from 10 different booth designs. So you can go through and pick anything from a kind of a trade show look like you see here. We have an office settings, we have front desk settings. So whatever really fits what you're looking for, you can pick from the 10 different designs, and then that will be your new booth design. You don't have to worry about anything that you entered. It all transfers over. It's just the backdrop that's going to change for you. So at that point, your profile is complete. It's really just those 3 things, and then picking your booth design. The recruiters, this is really going to be the main point of contact for your organization who received the business registration link. That person will register the business and will also add the additional recruiters onto your booth. You can have as many recruiters as you would like, but that main point of contact will be adding them. So for this example, Larry Allen is my main point of contact at PetSmart. He's going to come right up here to add recruiter. And he's going to basically set up his recruiter's contact information. So first name, last name, email, and then just create them a generic password. They'll use the same URL to log in as you did, except they're going to use their credentials. And then when they come in, they can go to their specific recruiter profile, edit it, and you'll see that they can add a photo up here at the top. But more importantly, down here at the bottom is we have, because we know recruiters get busy, we have predefined messages. These are going to be canned messages. So anything that you feel that you will be typing over and over again throughout an event, you can add them into your predefined messages, and these will become a one touch of a button, and these messages will send to the candidate when you're in your recruiter booth. So once you have your recruiters entered, the last thing you'll do to set up your booth is going to be your job vacancies. Now the job vacancies, you can have as many as you would like. You're simply going to come right up here to add jobs. You're going to give your job title, job city, and number of vacancies. We often see a lot of times in the job city, if you've got multiple cities or multiple areas, you can put in various locations. And then down at the bottom, you'll put in your job description. Once again, usually coming from something you already have prepared for the vacancy that you have. So the great thing about the platform here is that once you create your company booth on the platform, it will be there for every event that you go to. So if Tim invites you to future events, your booth is already done. The only thing you'll have to do is come into your job vacancies, come in to edit them, and add them to their new event onto the targeted events. So the way that Premier Virtual looks at this is that we will not automatically attach your jobs to each event because we don't know if those jobs have been filled or if those jobs are relevant for the job fair that you're currently going to. So once again, your booth is already there. You just need to come and add your jobs to the new event to make sure that they are relevant.
Hey, Glenn, can I just interject and say that
Yeah.
What we typically see with the vacancies and really what I think I encourage is you don't need to be, unless it's a a specialty area where you really are trying to generate some very specific candidates. I encourage you to be more general in terms of these positions. Don't necessarily try to approach it as I'm trying to match it with exactly our current vacancy list, but what are the high school math and high school chemistry or K5 or K3 or something like that. I mean, you can think more broadly, and I think Glenn already said this, but just to make sure it was said, it's just really important that you have at least one job vacancy created in here so that the candidates that when they visit your booth, they can, through the system, they can hand off their resume. They can make sure that they've taken that step of expressing their interest. And I think Glenn, within the system, it's called the apply button or whatever, but we all recognize, right, that that's not your application process, but just know that that's really, the vacancies are to give the candidates a good sense of what you're looking for, and then to express their interest in those vacancies. But again, you don't have to take it to the nth degree and try to match it up with your application system or what have you.
Yeah, I think Tim brings up a really good point here too, is that, just like an in-person event, it's very quick. You're there to have that conversation, see somebody maybe face to face, kind of learn what, a little bit about them. And then when they ask about positions, they're going to hand you a resume, and usually you're setting something up for later on to go a little bit further in depth with them. So it's just to kind of start that process. They can apply to something, that you can see that they applied to something that you had listed, and that just opens up dialogue to kind of see really where they're going to fit into your organization. So good. This is a really good point, Tim. So I've got basically 2 more tabs to cover here on the dashboard here. I just want to see, does anybody have any questions before I continue on? Nope. All right, excellent. So the job seeker tab, we offer our recruiters reporting once the event is over. So it's not just Tim as the host, you as recruiters will get reporting. You're going to get 3 reports: your submitted resumes, your visitors, and your chat logs. So on the submitted resumes, when you watched me go into that PetSmart booth, I opened up one of the jobs, I hit the green, submit resume. That got sent over to the recruiter booth itself, but it also is going to end up in your submitted resume report. So anybody that applies to any position that you have posted, you will see them compile here. So you can see here, Glenn, he applied to the assistant store manager position, and then you'll notice some action buttons off to the side. So the first one, you can come in and take a look at their resume. The second one is going to be where you can go in and take notes. Great fit, we hired him, he was awesome. The third is going to be to view their log of activity. So you'll be able to see what they clicked on when they entered your booth and just see what their behavior was. And then the last one's going to be, you know what? Hey, I remember talking to Glenn on the day of the event. I see that he applied to the position. I don't really remember where I left off with him. We need to follow up with him. Right here in your chat bubbles, we'll bring up your entire chat history that you had with this candidate on the day of the event. So great for follow-up. Once you're done with any note taking, you can request the export. Provide us with your email, and we will send that off to you in about 5 minutes. The visitor report is essentially going to be your sign-in sheet. This will record any visitor that comes into your booth and interacts with at least one of the buttons. So they have to interact to be a visitor, but you will get, this is your sign-in sheet. So in this report, you'll also have those same action buttons off to the side. On this one, you'll notice there's no resume and no chat. And that means that Jake from State Farm did not upload a resume, and he did not have a chat with the recruiter. So unfortunately, we don't have those two options there. You can take the notes, request the export, but in the visitor report, you're going to get 2 more pieces of information. One is going to be the 3 answers from the job seekers to the questions that the event host asked, if they asked them. And then the second would be a zip file of all of the hard copy PDF resumes for every visitor that came into your booth. And then the last report is the chat logs. I have to be honest with you. I find it easier just to come right in here, look at the chat bubbles and look at them on an individual basis. But if you do want your chat logs, you can request that export as well, and we'll email that off to you. Reporting is traditionally around for 30 days post-event. So my recommendation, go in, take your notes, pull your reporting, because if you forgot after 30 days, I cannot guarantee that it will still be there. All right, you guys are doing great. You're hanging in there. So I got 1 more to go. So the My Event tab, this is going to be how you're going to be entering into your recruiter booth on the day of the event. So you enter into your booth. And I know we give you nice fancy booths on the job seeker side. You get a little bit more boring of a booth, but it's the important data that you're going to be looking at. So on your submitted resumes, so when you watch me submit that resume, this is where they're going to compile. You'll see the candidate's name, what they applied to, and then a link to their resume if they posted one. Now, this information also will be in your submitted resume report. And then we'll take a look at the other side. So you have your visitors, your messages, and your chat column off to the side here. So the visitor column is going to tell you that you actively have a job seeker in your booth, looking around, clicking on buttons. They are interacting with your booth. As a best practice, my advice would be to click on this person's name. You'll see that the chat feature opened up on the far right as soon as I clicked on their name. Go up to your predefined messages. Thank you for visiting. 1 click of a button and my message just sent. So 2 reasons why I recommend reaching out to your visitors right away. 1 is job seekers, they're new to virtual too. They haven't been to, maybe they haven't been unemployed for a while. Maybe they haven't been to a virtual job fair. They're not sure kind of how all this works yet. By you reaching out to them, it's going to initiate that dialogue, and you'll have a better chance of them hopefully replying to you. But the other reason is that if this visitor was to leave my booth, yes, I would have their information after my visitor report, but I would not be able to communicate with this visitor because I didn't initiate any conversation with them. But because I sent that message, he will now fall in my message column, and the message columns don't go away throughout the event. So this candidate can now leave my booth, move on to other companies, but because I messaged him, he will fall in here, and I can communicate with him now through any point throughout the event. If you're working with multiple recruiters, I always suggest have one, greet your visitors. pre-qualify them, maybe ask some pre-qualifying questions, check out the resume. If the candidate seems like a fit, shoot over a text message or a Teams meeting, a Teams note to your other recruiter and say, can you pick up the conversation with Glenn? He's pre-qualified. I think he's a great fit. Recruiter 2 comes in, and right here where it says show only my chat, if I click it again, it now says show all chats. I can pick up any conversation from any of my other recruiters. So now I can come in, pick up that conversation with Glenn. Maybe I want to send him something that says, would you be willing to do a video chat? As you can see here. And if he says yes, very simply, we have integrated video chat built right into the platform. I'll click on his name, click on the video icon, and you'll see my video chat box opened up on my side. On the candidate side, you'll see that they got the invitation, which they can either accept or they can deny. I'm going to deny it because I am on Zoom and it will not work. So once you're done with your video chat, just X out of the box and you're right back to your recruiter booth. My recommendation is if you are operating by yourself, don't get stuck in too many video chats, if any at all, because you will miss some qualified visitors coming into your booth because you're not seeing them because you're off in video. Just a suggestion. I've heard it before where, hey, I didn't see this person. They showed up on my reports. They would have been a great fit. And it's because they spent too much time on video chat. So video chat's great if you've got multiple recruiters. And then the one last thing I just want to show you here is if you want to put your Zoom or WebEx or Teams invite link in here, we have noticed that a lot of organizations have bumped up their security due to the data breaches. So, you know, your firewalls may block what we have as far as our video chat. So it's just a backup plan just in case you do encounter that. We often hear really with the platform between job seekers and recruiters, really the ease of use is what people like. It's very, very simple to set up. It's very easy to function on the day of the event. So really I just want to open it up, I guess, to some questions from you all. Tim, if there's anything else that you'd like to see as well, I'd be happy to show.
Thank you, Glenn.
Yeah, no problem. So I do have one question. If you're registered for the event, you should have received an, oh, that's you. That's Tim.
I was prolific in the chat. I apologize.
I guess so. No problem. No problem. No problem.
Just trying to share some additional event specific or AA specific information that might be helpful to folks.
Yep.
I guess I have one question, and pardon me if I missed it, but in the way in which the data is downloaded after the event, is that through a CSV file? Like, what are our options talking about resumes? I know they're PDFs, but just wondering.
Yep. Yeah, so the PDFs will come in a zip file.
Okay.
All your PDFs in one zip file, and then the report itself is in CSV.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And the other question I had was regarding the job vacancies. How many would you be able to put up? I know that Tim talked a lot about making sure that they're targeted and appropriate, et cetera, but I'm wondering how many are we limited to, or how does it work?
Nope, as many as you would like. Yep. And remember too, if you have kind of those crossover positions, you know, you could put various, you could put, you know, multiple positions. I've seen where people put in 100 positions for a job. And it just starts that dialogue of, we got this, but we also have this, you know, trying to figure out where they fit the best.
Yeah, I think
that's helpful.
Yeah, a lot of our recruiters have done the, you know, especially big county districts have done, you know, we have 100 of these positions or whatever. So I think it's, again, I don't think you need to be, we have one of these positions and one of these positions and one of these positions, but at the same time, if you are, you know, and I know Sharif, it's not your case, but let's say there's a district that's a countywide district, not good to just say we have 1,200 teacher positions and not be any more specific than that. So it's trying to find that balance of somewhere in between, recognizing the candidates, you know, you don't want to overwhelm candidates with dozens of postings, but certainly, as Glenn said, there's no limitation on how many vacancies you can technically put into the system. So it's, again, just trying to find a reasonable level of detail there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Sorry, this is Cassie. I'm from Louisiana. We're snowed in, by the way. It's 12 here, and that's not normal. Anyway, I just had classroom teacher, and I, put like 75. So I did go in and change. So when applicants come, will they be able to like search for, say, a math teacher open positions across districts, or are they going to have to go in each one and look at what positions we have?
So currently, right now, they would have to go into each booth, look at the job vacancies. We have some enhancements rolling out. We take everything our customers say, and I know Tim has given some awesome feedback, over the past year. That leads us to making enhancements. And so we have some enhancements coming out in mid-March, mid to second half of March, that a lot of these things will be starting to show up. So there's going to be more capabilities where the job seeker can come in and, kind of put what they're looking for. They can go marketing, or they can even drill down a little further into marketing. They'll be able to do video resumes. That's something that'll be coming in the future too. So not just their PDF resume, they'll be able to upload additional documents, whether it be something in a portfolio or something that they have as far as a certification. And then they'll also be able to do a video resume in the future as well. So that's very close to coming out. So, good question.
And by the way, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I'm Laura. I'm from St. Helens, Oregon. We're snowed in too. Anyway, no heat either. Wood stove. But anyway, I'm wondering, we're just a small district. And so if this was something we were looking at doing, if I posted, say, elementary teachers, middle school teachers, high school teachers, let's say, so it's more broad. And then I have recruiters for each of those levels. When a applicant or a possible job seeker is looking for one of those grade levels, can I assign a recruiter to each of those grade levels? So when they go into those positions, will it automatically go to that recruiter, or is it anybody who picks it up?
So very good question. The way that we work is that your organization will be under one booth, and you can have multiple recruiters that work under that booth. All of your job vacancies will sit under that booth. So that's where I think that greeter, if you've got multiple people, somebody that's greeting the visitors, trying to pre-qualify them, asking those maybe 3 questions that will figure out the answers that you need to kind of direct them to the right recruiter. And then once that greeter's figured that out, they shoot a message over to John and say, John, can you pick up Glenn? He seems like a great fit for XYZ. So we can't really assign them yet, but what you can do is just have that pre-qualification in the visitor spot, and then have your recruiters pick up the conversations once they've been kind of pre-qualified.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
And I think, Glenn, you mentioned that, there's technically not a limitation on the number of recruiters that you can have. We try to advise probably not more than 10 people, just for on your end to try to coordinate that. And then obviously no fewer than 1. And then if you do have multiples, I mean, I have advised districts to, have a couple of people to start out the event, and then sort of have I recognize that, but both in a live event and a virtual event, you have fluctuations in the volume. So maybe have, a number of your recruiters sort of on an on-call basis, and not necessarily just spending those 4 hours waiting for the possibility. So, but again, that level of coordination with multiple recruiters would be what you'd have to work out on your end.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, because we always see in the beginning that, let's say from 9 to 10 is going to be everybody coming in at once. So you get hit usually in that first hour, just like an in-person event. And then that starts to kind of die down and get a little bit more kind of moderate. And then you might get something a little bit at the end, you might get another little rush just before it's over. So definitely in those beginning, like, maybe hour and a half, just having somebody at least ready to go so that if you do start to get overwhelmed, you have that additional recruiter just to fall back on. So I think we're down to just the two of you. I just looked.
By the way, Laura, I think so. We have some snow here in Illinois, but I think you and our friend in Louisiana is actually colder. Well, I don't know. What's the temperature in Oregon where you are?
Oh, I think we're in the 30s today,
Oh,
so
okay.
it's warmed up.
Yeah, good. All right, we got 18 degrees,
Yeah.
but it's pretty
I
amazing.
Oh, wow.
don't talk about my weather because nobody wants to hear it.
Yeah,
so.
no, Florida, we don't hear about it.
Yeah. I do have another question, just
Sure.
history-wise. When you have an in-person job fair, it's common for a small district to get some traffic, but then you've got long lines in the big districts. And I'm wondering if this virtual situation, if you find that the smaller districts get more traffic.
Is that for me or for Tim? I'll answer what I know. A job seeker's only going to know what they know. So when they come in to see a lobby, if I go back to the lobby view, they're only going to know what they see in that lobby. So they're going to see all of those tables. They usually start to kind of bounce from table to table. So let me go into the event to show you. One second. It takes a little bit of time for mine to load because I have every event in the entire company in my profile. So there we go. So when you come in, you're basically going to be kind of coming into all of these tables. So, if a job seeker doesn't really know a small district from a large district, they're just going to start to go from table to table to table. So unless they know like by name that you're a smaller district or that they're really just going to start to kind of go in that flow of going through the event booth by booth.
Yeah. As Glenn said, I mean, the recognized names are likely to get more traffic in any environment, including virtual. What we've tried to do, instead of knowing how teacher candidates and teachers tend to look at geographics pretty heavily in terms of where they want to teach. That's why we've separated our event into regions of the parts of the country, and so then hopefully then they go to the west region and they see your district and maybe several others, but they see your district and they want to take a closer look at the districts that are in the west region. But we try. I mean, and I will tell you, we do actively encourage candidates for not only for these job fair events, but just all of our communications we have with educator candidates in our job search handbook, in our educator candidate membership, in job fair communications. We encourage them strongly to be willing to relocate, to take a close look at all different districts and types of districts and sizes of districts. So we try to advocate for those districts who may not be as well recognized.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amy. We are not snowed in. We should have been snowed in, but we're not. We didn't have school today, but that was more of an ice thing. I think we'll be back in session tomorrow. My question, do you have any sense of how many educators will register for it? Like when you say we'll be busy for the first 90 minutes, like what's that mean? Like thousands of people or hundreds, guesstimate?
Yeah, well, and I think Glenn said the busy for 90 minutes, and that was, just a general, I think it was kind of a general statement about some of these events. So we had, last year in April, we had 1,500 candidates registered for this event. And I'll be honest, at this point, we have about 150 candidates registered. but we will continue to market our events. We have found that educator candidates, probably not unlike college age candidates in any career, they tend to drag their feet a little bit or wait until something's right around the corner. So we have, we're doing handshake marketing with over almost 250 universities and colleges. We are doing marketing on social media. We're doing marketing through our members, our university and college members. So, so our hope is that we'll easily get in, to the multiple hundreds. We would love to see that number, exceed 1,000 as it did last April, but time will tell. Yeah,
Thank you.
of course.
This is super helpful. I appreciate
Good.
it.
Yep.
Glad to help. Glad to help. And nice to meet you both.
You'll join on, and like I said, very, very simple. So, as far as getting everything in, as far as utilizing the system, very simple. The other great thing about virtual is we get to stay at home or in our office. We don't have to go to event spaces anymore, and we can, continue what we're doing behind the scenes as well. So I hope that this helped everybody. Tim, I do have another call in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
I can more than happily make you the host if you guys want to continue any conversation. I'm going to stop the recording here.
I'm good. You guys have
Yeah,
a great
I
afternoon.
think we're good, Glenn. Thank you so much.
Yeah.